Welcome to the City of Petoskey City Council meeting for January 20th, 2025. Would you please rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Beck, would you please call roll?
Demore, present. Shields, Walker, present. Murphy,
Present. Next, please look at the consent agenda. It's the adoption of a proposed resolution that would confirm approval of the following: the January 6th, 2025 regular session and January 10th, 2025 special session city council meeting minutes, as well as acknowledge a receipt of certain transactions administratively that have happened since January 6th, 2025. And I ask council for questions or possible motion. Mr. Shields.
One quick request for an edit. This is in the minutes, page 14. At the bottom and the council comments. This is my comments last week about it's the second kind of after the comma there, second line, but can go wrong. No, not after that. Commented that there seems to be an attitude on ADUs. That sentence is kind of convoluted and very likely because I didn't make it clear, but I'm wondering if I could restate that second section to my comments so it's a little more concise. So it would be deleting the part that says there seems to be an attitude on ADUs instead of none in the community. The city could review ordinance and re-evaluate. What I was intending to say, and maybe it wasn't clear, was simply that I was making a comment about seeking to reevaluate the ADU ordinance in light of there not being many ADUs pursued. So that's a little more straightforward to what I was trying to say. If it could be changed to that. And that's all I have for my comments.
Are we changing what was recorded?
Well, I believe it was an interpretation of what I said, and in fair to respect, it was definitely my maybe too complicated to say something directly. But what I was intending to say directly was encouraging us to reevaluate the ADU ordinance in light of there not being many ADUs pursued.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments or questions about the minutes or budget? Ms. Walker.
thank you, Mayor. I did have one question on the
Please.
check register. Page 22. And then it was a check register, obviously the mostly alphabetical, so it's a section for Petoskey Rotary Club. 2 line items for education and training, and then a third line item for an image campaign. I was just wondering what that was.
Not sure why it's designated as image campaign. I'd have to check into that specifically, but that is reimbursement. I believe it's for Andy downtown for her membership into Rotary. I don't know why it says image campaign for sure, but I'll look into that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you. And I'll have to make a motion if there's no other questions to approve the minutes and the check register from last month.
Go ahead. Do we have another question?
Just as amended then by Mr. Shields.
That's
As amended by Mr. Shields. Thank you.
Support.
so I have a motion by Ms. Walker, second from Mr. Moore on the adoption consent agenda with the changes. Ms. Beck.
Walker,
Yes.
Demore,
Guy.
Shields.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes, motion passes 4-0. Next is city manager or public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to address city council? If there is, you'll come on up, hit the button to turn it green and give us your full name and full address, and then the floor is yours. Good. Okay. There being done, we go to city manager's update.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few updates. One, a reminder, our Christmas tree drop off is still ongoing at Public Works. That'll go until this Friday. So we encourage people not to place their Christmas trees at the curb, but instead take them to our Public Works facility on Sheridan Street. And then we will shred them from there. So we'll be doing that until, again, Friday, January 24th. So folks can drop those off. New updates. I wanted to let council know, we have submitted an EGLE grant. This is a community energy management grant to EGLE, looking to improve this. This grant helps improve energy management and accelerates the implementation of energy efficiency and renewable energy through the Community Energy Management Program, or CEM. The maximum grant that's awarded is up to $100,000. We have partnered with Energy Science Resource Partners out of Berkeley, as our consultant to help us and assist us in applying for these resources. And then they would, if we're successful, they would assist us in managing the grant award. There is no match requirement for this grant, and we have Amy is kind of facilitating the grant for us, but we kind of highlighted the Carnegie Building as a need. We really need to look at window replacement for the Carnegie Building. That's going to be a pretty significant project. So one of the first things we need to do to put us in a position for grant dollars is to do an assessment of the Carnegie Building. So this grant would allow us to complete a level 2 assessment from an energy standpoint of the Carnegie Building, which would again allow us to apply for other grant opportunities for that facility. So we would also use those funds to do some historical window an assessment, essentially. We would have funds available to do some select window replacements with this grant. It would not get us all the way around the building, but it will at least get us a start. And then we would use the assessment report to try to find other grant opportunities, and then obviously budget that in our CIP in later years. And then they would also assist us in communicating this project to the city residents, your constituents, and to let everybody know what was happening with that grant. So again, if we're successful, we would again partner with Energy Sciences. If we're not successful, we essentially don't proceed with the project, and we would try again on another cycle potentially. Another thing I wanted to highlight to City Council and maybe just get some initial feedback on, Amy and I have also discussed moving forward with becoming a certified local government. Why would we want to do this? I know back in the past, I think it was 2019, this topic came up. It is part of our Livable Petoskey master plan that we would consider this. So this is kind of taking that next step. This is kind of the first step of becoming a historical property or resource, if you will. So taking this first step is kind of that first step in the process. So why would we want to do this? It's strong preservation programs is why one of the reasons we would get priority support from State Historic Preservation Office. There'll be annual historic preservation fund grants available to us going through this program. Also partnering on community projects and then getting training and education as a result of being a CLG. So what is required to become a CLG? We would essentially have a local historic district ordinance complying with Michigan's Historic Districts Act. We would appoint a historic district commission, develop and implement a strategy for incremental survey and inventory of historic resources. We would provide for public participation in local preservation program, establish 4-year goals for the program, and then obviously comply with all reporting requirements. And as I mentioned before, this is a strategic priority in the Livable Petoskey Master Plan. I know we already have I believe have a historic district commission that's appointed, so it's a matter of potentially re-engaging what we have. But certainly I can bring somebody either up, or we can have them join us remotely from SHPO to kind of walk through this program in a little more depth. But just kind of wanted to kind of put a little primer out for this going forward. Just one more thing to highlight. We've had a lot of activity at Winter Sports Park. Obviously, it's amazing what winter weather will do to a wonderful facility like this. Our crew has been busy. Our weekends have been very busy with a lot of folks enjoying the opportunity. I will also say for the first time, ice skated last Saturday. It was very enjoyable. My wife did as well. So we had a wonderful time. I can certainly see how and why folks really value this community treasure. It's such a neat opportunity to skate around. It was dark out, but the lights were on, the music was playing. You could see, families skating around the rink, and people were sliding down the hill. And so it was just a wonderful opportunity. You could go inside, get warm, get a hot chocolate or whatever, and such a nice time. So appreciate staff and all their work to allow this opportunity to move forward. And certainly the weather is a big cooperating factor as well. It's been a good month for winter weather, more of a traditional winter in January so far. So we're taking advantage of that. And we would certainly encourage folks to come out. During the weekdays, we're open from 3 to 8, and then the weekends 12 to 8. Today we were open our normal weekend hours because it wasn't a no school day. Obviously the next couple of days are a little challenging from a temperature standpoint. So we certainly want people to be safe when they're out and make sure they're bundled up appropriately. But the fireplace is roaring inside. So if you get a little chill, they can come in and enjoy themselves inside as well. So any questions for me?
3 questions.
Yeah.
Did you and Michelle fall skating?
She's going to kill me for saying this probably, but she did much better downhill skiing. We both downhill skied for the first time last winter. She was great. She did wonderfully. I struggled being even on the little bunny hill at Nubs, and all the 8-year-olds were flying by me like, what's your problem? Get out of my way. She did wonderfully. I struggled with that a little bit. Ice skating, I did much better than probably she did. She fell a few times and bumped her knee, but she enjoyed it as well. We found out she initially had, we had rented skates, obviously, and she rented or received, I guess there were more figure skating skates with the Copic in the front. And so I had hockey skates on and I was doing fine. So she asked for hockey skates and had a much better experience. So maybe that's the key. I don't know.
We're glad you got out and enjoyed.
It was wonderful.
Northern Michigan. Question on that grant, the 100,000. What's our pay to them to handle this?
So that their admin part is part of the grant. So they don't get paid if we don't get the grant. So there's no out of pocket of the city. So there's no real downside of using them. They put the application together with our input. They've done this in a lot of places across Michigan, have been fairly
So
successful.
their admin is built into it
Yes.
already ahead of the 100,000.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Next question, real short. So I think I agree with you. I know I appointed a historic district commission back, 5 or 6,
19, I think it was. Was it 18, 19?
maybe 7 years, 8 years ago. I did appoint one, 5 individuals. I would, that's great, but I think it would be good for SHPO, whether it be a Zoom or whatever. I think it would be good to hear more about the whole program from them. Sure. And I think that would really work well for us to, I know there's a lot of points and pieces to that. On what you can do with a building once it's identified, as far as window styles, doors, how much you can't replace windows, go blasting out a wall and put new windows in. So there's a lot of restrictions there, and I think it'd be good for them to address it. So council and myself
Yeah,
and you guys all know that.
Schedule that.
Mr. Moore.
So I have a couple follow-up questions there also. So this title, Certified Local Government, it's a very broad title. Is there significance to that beyond historic preservation, or does it pertain only to historic preservation? If you don't know, I can say.
Yeah, from what I was told and what I've read, in order to have that designation, you have to first become a certified local government. So this is kind of step one in the process, but certainly when we have the expert from SHPO here, we can ask that question.
Okay.
But that was my interpretation.
And then this group that you appointed in 2019, I think, because it was in the material that we had for our last joint meeting. Did they ever meet, or kind of what happened with that?
They never met. I believe they never met. And the person in charge of it was the ex-downtown, the retired downtown management, Becky Goodman. I'm not sure. It just never got off the ground.
Okay.
Whether there was concerns in general or not, I don't know.
Okay. And then just following up on the mayor's question about the Eagle grant. So I understand that Energy Science Resource Partners did what they did just in hopes of getting the grant. But if you are awarded the grant, is there a percentage allowed in there, like the Chill grant, that can go toward administrative fees?
Yeah, and I don't know what that percent is. I can try to get that for you or get that question answered. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, I guess.
That's okay. Just the key question was if it includes some
It does.
percentage. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Shields.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll echo the support for getting the opportunity to learn more from SHPO with that certified local government, which is an odd title. Yes, there's the potential pitfalls, the potential, I know there's a lot of opportunities that come with historical preservation. So yeah, the opportunity for them to emphasize that, and so we can learn the plus and minus. This would be great. Thank you.
Great.
Anyone else? The being that, we'll now go to the next piece on the agenda, and that is the consideration of appointment to Parks and Rec Commission. I'm bringing forward to Ken Turk. I'm looking right now how long he's been on the board. Been on the board, first appointed in 2015. I think he's very active. He's the chair of the Parks and Rec Commission right now. So if you have any questions, let's send Ward 3.
I'd be happy to make a motion to approve Ken Turk to return to the Parks and Recreation Board and serve as chairman.
Support.
I have a motion from Ms. Walker, a second from Mr. Shields. Any discussion? I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Walker,
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Demore.
Aye.
Murphy.
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. Now we're going to old business. Second reading and possible adoption of proposed ordinance that would amend the short-term rental zoning ordinance. And I turn it over to City Manager Horn.
Yeah, so this is our second reading of this ordinance, and we did incorporate from the last meeting, the slight change in section 1719 on page 34 in your packet. So that's been incorporated as an update for this second reading. Happy to take any questions that you may have.
Question? Mr. Moore?
I'm happy to make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Moore and a second from Mr. Shield. Any other discussion, council, at this time? I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Demore,
Aye.
Shields.
Yes.
Wow, Walker.
Yes.
Sorry, Murphy.
Yes, motion passes 4-0. New business is the adoption of a proposed resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the engagement letter with Foster Swift for city attorney legal services. I turn it over to City Manager Horn again.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council, for your time, the investment of your time last Friday, or actually a week from Friday, when we went through a pretty extensive interview process with 5 firms. Based on your input and guidance, reached out to Foster Swift, moving them forward in the process. They have provided the attached engagement letter that's in your packet for consideration. So with your concurrence and input, we would potentially execute this engagement letter and get them moving forward as our city attorney.
Mr. Shield.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a question with the letter from Foster and Swift where it talks about the range, hourly range from $260 to $620. And then I see they provide a detailed box of services, which the highest is there's $300 per hour, except for the public finance and bond to be determined based on scope. Maybe that's where the 620 comes in. Do you have any concerns with that?
I don't. As we found out in our interview, Foster Swift is kind of a one-stop shop from a legal service standpoint. So typically, if we need to go use a bond attorney, they're going to be higher hourly rate. So I think that's where they're coming up, with the higher amount. That would be specialized services that they were providing from a legal standpoint that would be kind of outside of the norm. So I don't think that's unusual.
Is it legal for the city if they felt that it was too high in one area such as that to actually hire another legal firm to do something as a bond issue or something like that, or is that not appropriate?
I mean, yeah, we could always go out separately for bond counsel and, and go through an RFP or RFQ and determine what other firms you wanted to engage with. That would be fine.
I'm not suggesting we do. I just want to know if the doors were always open for us to go for other legal assistance rather than just coming to these guys, which I believe is I totally support where we're going with Foster and Swift. Just to keep the door open if it was financially needed for the city's protection.
I have had a discussion with the county administrator. We had some preliminary discussions with the prosecutor's office about the county taking on our criminal cases, and they were receptive to that. We're going to have meetings coming up to further discuss that. I've done that in other communities and it seems to work out fairly well. I have talked to Foster Swift about that arrangement and they were very supportive of it. Cadillac, who they also represent does that, as well as Escanaba does the same thing. So I meant to email you and I'll do that tomorrow. I did get feedback from both Escanaba and Cadillac. Very, very positive feedback. The distance issue for both was not any concerns to either one of them. They felt like their level of customer service that they were getting from Foster Swift was very appropriate, and they didn't think that the distance issue was a deterrent, has not been a deterrent to either of those communities. But I'll pass on that direct feedback to you as well.
So, moving forward.
I'm happy to make a motion to adopt the resolution as set forth on page 37 of our packet.
Ms. Walker.
I'll second the motion, but I have a question.
No, yeah, there'll be plenty. So right now we have a motion from Ms. DeVore and a second from Ms. Walker. Now discussion.
Thank you, Mayor.
Ms. Walker.
So can you tell me, is there any concern, or what would the transition look like between our attorneys at Plunkett and Cooney for things we might have in the court system currently?
Yeah, so I believe we have about 20 criminal cases that are ongoing. I have provided feedback to Plunkett Cooney to ask them to finish those cases. We also have an ongoing case with the Powells that they will also continue with. It's a little unknown how transition wise how this would go, other than I've tried to give guidance to Plunkett saying if we have an existing case that you've worked on, I'd like to see you finish that criminally. And then going forward, we as staff will have some things that we'll ask Foster Swift to start working on, whether it's policy or guidance based on some of the things that we've talked about in the past. So with your action tonight, I will start working or have a list of things that Foster Swift can start working on, whether it's ordinances. We have an overnight camping issue that kind of surfaced last summer that we really need to get addressed before the weather clears and we have visitors arriving again. We had that was an issue last summer that we need to make sure we have strong language through an ordinance to allow our public safety officers to address that appropriately. So that's one thing. We have a transient trader ordinance that goes back to, oh man, a long time. It's 70s. It's outdated and it needs some, we need some help with new language. So that's another thing that we've have on our list. And then obviously something related to a vacant building ordinance that we've talked about in the past. Some of their guidance on how do we construct that or put that together. So there will be a number of things that we'll have Foster Swift work on fairly quickly. But it would be my recommendation that we allow Plunkett Cooney to continue to address the cases that they already have in their caseload.
Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. So specifically with things around ordinance violations or dilapidated buildings, would that fall under criminal? Or is that something different? I guess I'm really curious about the pending case of Greenwell Machinery Shop and those two abandoned structures. Like, is that criminal or is that just something, does that fall under a different kind of?
Yeah, I mean, that one is not, that one we would likely just, as it moves forward, we would likely just have Foster Swift take that on. Potentially, that's something we could talk about. I need to kind of check in where that's at. But yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Shields.
Thank you, Mayor. So this, just to clarify, again, this relationship contract is an at-will contract with the council.
Mhm.
And so, I just wanted to emphasize that and see this as a great opportunity to build a relationship. But if it for some reason wasn't working out, this body could go back to it.
Yes,
Great.
absolutely.
Any other discussion? I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Demore.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes, motion passes 4-0 for the hiring of Foster Swift. Last on the agenda, city council comments. I'll go to Ms. Walker, Ward 4.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, many of us are curious in the community in terms of appointment to fill the Ward 3 vacancy. And obviously that person should be living within the boundaries of Ward 3. But whether or not the public is aware or not, that position is just a temporary filling of a position until a reelection would happen come November of 2025. So I just wanted to make that clear because I don't think I was under the right understanding that wouldn't be just a position for the duration of the next 3 years, even though Brian went through another reelection period before resigning. So that would just be a temporary covering
I'll
until.
clarify
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
Right, why don't I clarify it right now for everybody? The appointment, I will make an appointment. I will bring it to council for support. Following that, the individual will serve until the next election in November. We'll end up taking over in January. That person, that whoever runs in November will have 1 year in term of office. That November 2026 will put them in sync with what the state has set up as a process. So they'll have to run, there'll be 2 elections to get this straight back onto 3-year terms. That's according, I've talked to the city attorney as well as city manager Horn is also, so I think he confirms with me that that's it. And this is the process of how our charter is. So that clarifies that. Thank you. Mr. Shields.
Recently came across one of my quotes that I enjoy from the Great Lakes Leadership Academy program back in 2017. I think I've shared it at council before, but I want to read it again. It says, communities are at their best when they are leadership rich, when leadership is shared among people of all levels of the community, and when leadership challenges people to go beyond what they believe is possible. And I just want to encourage community members to share their talents, skills, and passions. And I recently in the social media world heard about someone feeling lonely, not connected in our community. And just want to mention the library's activities. There's book clubs. There's volunteer groups and working in the nonprofit world. I'm just amazed by all the volunteers that are in our community. And encourage anyone feeling lonely to seek out those volunteer opportunities. It's a great opportunity if you're able and have the space in your life to join and find community there.
Thank you. Ms. Demore, Ward 1.
Well, due to a snow day, the Petoskey Youth Advisory Council did not meet on January 13th, and they will be meeting next Monday, January 27th. Hopefully the mayor is still going to be able to be there. And as I say, buckle up. It's the beginning of them brainstorming what they want to do. So keep you posted.
I would like to make sure to remind all of you, even though it's cold out, to take advantage of our beautiful winter wonderland. I went out and did ribbon cutting event with the Curling Club of Petoskey out at the fairgrounds. You should stop in, and even if you don't curl, take a look at what 3 guys have built. It's simply amazing. It's well worth seeing, and you can also volunteer. You can volunteer, but you can also, for a small fee, they do Saturday lessons and teach people how to do it. So now's a good time with the weather to be in this way to take advantage of that. One more winter sports to try. I'm sure Shane will be trying that. If not this year, then next year he keeps adding to winter sports. So make sure and get out and enjoy the winter weather. We're so blessed to have this. There being no further business, we come before this council. I call this